Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown and you lose it?
Where you been?
Drunk. Wendy. Darling. Light of my life.
What's your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck up and die.
Yeah, she's fine. She's heading home now.
Okay, so she didn't get murdered.
No, yeah, I mean, she's either a pod person and is coming back, well, you know.
God, what if she was a pod person?
Oh, man, I mean, we're all pod people, dude. Do we truly know who we are? I mean,
I wake up
really
feeling like a pod person every other day, man.
Yeah, dude. Can you truly? You can't truly know everybody's fucking deepest secrets. It's impossible. We don't even know our own secrets.
I don't even know who I am anymore. This movie could have used more of pod people.
It really, yeah. If there was just one pod person in this, I think that the Nazis would understand each other.
You know what? You can't actively prove that someone isn't a pod person. So honestly, any movie you watch, you can just make the assumption that like that guy's a fucking pod person. Connected universe.
It is, yeah, dude. It all goes back to whatever the invasion.
Yeah, that's right.
Invasion,
God help us. This is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. That's Jordan, or is it? And I'm Levi over here.
Right?
I don't even know.
Now we truly are confusing people because this is like they know what they clicked on, but I'm sure they're like, what the fuck is going on right now?
They're like, oh, this shouldn't have been my first episode.
No, I hope it was your first episode.
I
Welcome.
do too. If it is, great.
I'm drinking a. Dude, you should make a cocktail called the Blue Ruin. That would be really cool.
Oh, yeah, I should actually. That sounds fun.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So you might be wondering, Blue Ruin, that was a fun reference to the filmmaker's previous movie of this movie, which we were watching. Green Room is what we're watching today. Blue Ruin was his previous. Jeremy Saulnier. It's a good guy.
Hey,
good guy.
You're saying his name completely incorrect?
Nope.
And today?
That's correct.
Today. Folks out there, fine vocals.
Saulnier, right?
Nope. Everybody out there in the world, everybody out there in the world, in podcast land, listen to me right now when I tell you how to pronounce his goddamn name. You pronounce it Saulnier.
That's what I said.
Saulnier.
Yeah, because what is he?
S-O-N-A-Y-A is like phonetic, like
French Canadian or something.
It must be. Yeah, I don't know, dude. But it blew my mind because he was in an interview and they were like, oh, here we are with Jeremy Saulnier. And I was like, well, there's no L in that.
That L's silent, fucker. I'm really sad.
You know what isn't silent though? My beating heart from all the intensity of Green Room. Dude.
It's true. This movie doesn't fail to get me pumped up every single time. Because
every time.
How many times you watched it? And then I got a synopsis for everyone. So.
This would be my third time, so not too many,
but still though. I mean,
did we see this together in theaters? Because
no.
I saw this in theaters, but
I went and saw it. I might have saw it because this is one of the few movies I saw in theaters twice. But I actually went and saw this with Mary, and I remember being kind of excited for two reasons. I'd seen Blue Ruin and I liked it, but I saw the poster and I saw the R rating on it, and the R rating is like brutal, graphic, intense violence, and we're like, oh shit, that brutal, graphic, intense violence. They had to use 3 fucking adjectives to describe the violence in the official MPA rating. Let's see about that. And so me and Mary were laughing about it, and we went in and we're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know.
Mission accomplished.
When that movie ended, I was like, that was.
It's not. That's the thing. It's not like a gore fest. It's not like a Saw or something, but it is.
We'll get there. Here,
horrifically violent.
Tell the fine folks what they're in for. What they should be visualizing as we.
So Green Room. This is the synopsis that I wrote for Green Room. So hopefully it's worth a fuck. Let's see. So the Ain't Rights, a gritty punk band on a DIY tour of the Pacific Northwest, end up playing a last-minute show at an isolated Nazi bar in the woods. Things are tense as they clearly don't belong there, but they manage to get by and almost are off down the road $350 richer. That is, until last minute, Pat the bassist played by the late Anton Yelchin, heads back into the titular green room for a phone and right into a murder scene. They are quickly secured in the room by the venue's organized staff of Nazis. They get the upper hand on one guy and are trapped in the room in a standoff. Darcy, the organization's leader, played by Patrick Stewart, assembles a plot to murder the band and cover everything up, but tries to negotiate them into surrendering. Things quickly get out of hand, resulting in maiming and death. Soon, still trapped, they find they are sitting on top of a literal heroin lab, so the extreme hostility makes even more sense. Pat is injured badly and they try to escape, just for most of the band to be killed by dogs and psychos wielding knives and machetes. Pat explains to Amber, the punk girl whose friend got murdered, played by Imogen Poots, that the only choice they have of surviving these highly organized killers is not to outwit them, but to go full jackass by being unpredictable and strange, in hopes of throwing them off their guard. It works, and they are able to kill 2 of the Nazi fuckboys. They get another to surrender and walk out of there, the rest of the gang having left up the road, setting up another crime scene. The one Nazi that flips sides goes for help while Pat and Amber walk to the adjacent compound to find Darcy and company, setting up a scene so it looks like the band was trespassing and got killed by the wildly vicious and trained dogs. A shootout ensues, and by sheer luck, they kill the remaining Nazis and are left injured and exhausted, waiting for the cops to come. Pat is decisive for once and figures out his desert island band, but no one gives a shit.
Damn, that's such a good way to end this movie.
This movie, for me, is just firing all cylinders. I loved it from when I saw it, but every time I watch it, I'm just like, yeah, I love it.
I think I have two quick comments and corrections. The first correction is, technically this isn't a 24-hour movie, but don't at us.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like hours elapse, like at least 36 to 48 hours. Guaranteed 48 hours elapsed during this.
First of all, so what?
Fine.
Second of all,
I don't really, I don't care.
Because they wake up in the morning, they go meet with Tad. Oh, you're right.
You're right. And then it smash cuts with the record player, and that's the next day.
Well, so what? The first 5 minutes are a day, and then the rest of the movie is another day.
Hey, don't get
right.
Like the inciting incident gets them to the bar, and that's the day. Like that's the whole day.
Well,
it's because he's like, I got a gig for you, but they have to drive to the gig, and it's like midday. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
From when they wake up at Tad's till when their shit plays on the radio the next day. That's 95% of the movie.
Right. And that's great too. And I'm totally just being I'm being a snot because it's just funny that our
you snot
theme of the month, our whatever genre essentially of the month is 24-hour movies, and this kind of breaks the rules a little bit. But it's also this is a self-contained. It's like the intensity takes place in one day, and it's amazing. It's beautiful, dude. I love how self-contained this movie is. And I think what's great about all 3 of the movies that we've watched this month for 24-hour films, they're tight. The scripts are just lean, and they get in, they get out. They're not long movies, and they're all an hour and a half, right?
They're all under 100 minutes, easy for sure. They're all 90 to 100 minutes, pretty much.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, Do the Right Thing, I think might be the longest one.
Yeah, probably, but barely.
It's running. Yeah, exactly. So it's just that's what's so sick about these is how
I love
lean
it.
They
That's kind of why part of the reason I was picking this genre or this category is for that tightness, because there's something about having to write something that's just takes place, almost in real time that that is perfect for film. It's the constant rising action. The dramatic tension remains because it's 9 times out of 10 it's people in a shitty situation where shit's popping off. Which is, it's interesting. We haven't done any horror movies because I feel like that's what mostly fits under this category. It's like slashers or something where I'm trapped in a cabin, gonna get murdered. You know what I mean? It takes place over one night.
This is a siege film is kind of the.
I know this. I think we'll talk about it a little bit.
Thriller, right? It's not even necessarily horror. Right?
A lot of people categorize it as horror, but this is a movie where it's categorizations are sort of dumb because I watched it on HBO, and the genre on HBO says horror slasher, is what it says on the genre, and I'm like, yeah, this is a thriller, but this goes back to the age old, like, where does the line between thriller and horror end? Like, thriller is the gray area between drama and horror. It's like, I think to be thriller, it's like, you know, many horror elements that are grounded in reality and taken seriously. You know, you can't have a campy thriller, you know what I mean? I feel like. I mean, I guess you can, but it's a lot harder. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure they exist, but still.
Probably, like, Hot Fuzz is close to a campy thriller.
Yeah, but that's like more of like an action. Yeah, but that's the thing. The thriller,
with, like, violence.
Yeah, the thriller comes from kind of the horror elements of, like, the cult of the town, right?
Right, exactly.
And,
so
like, the horrific murder,
film,
so.
Well, in this film, like we mentioned, there is gratuitous violence, but it's so. I mean, that's what Saulnier loves to do, is fucking sit in, like, pure reality, where it's like he wants you to, like, see the violence and then feel it in your bones. Like, there's, like, cringe.
It's super,
like, how real the violence is, but then it's also a movie, so he loves, like, huge prosthetics and, like, actually doing, like, you know, makeup work. Like, he loves the performance to play and the, like, actual dedication to the craft.
Yeah,
creating that violence. Like,
that's definitely what this movie's been sort of known. Yeah, this movie's been sort of known for, and his other movies, is, like, not only just the super realistic violence, but, like, I think what really sells it is this really smart editing around the violence. You know what I mean? That really makes it be like, it is a crescendo to the violence, and then it's like just enough of it that you get a glimpse, and it's like you look away just in time as it cuts. You know what I mean? Every time it's something horrific, and I always cringe at the first, like, when it really pops off. The arm followed immediately by the box cutter.
So I feel really bad. Sorry, Victoria. I
was wondering. Yeah.
And I, like, well, no. So the thing is, I remembered all the deaths except that. I remember him getting stabbed. I remember the dog eating the throat. I remember the arm getting cut off. And if you haven't seen this movie, spoilers / like, go see this movie, but if you're squeamish at all, don't. It's so real that it makes you it makes me so nervous because it feels
the performances,
so
man. Anton Yelchin is just sobbing and in pain. Like, it sounds so brutal. He's just like, please stop, and they're just slicing his arm to
and, like,
bits.
him trying to pull back, like, it. Oh my god, it's super intense. Anyways, so it sucks because it's like watching a zombie movie. It's almost like comical, you know, and like it's like I enjoy the prosthetics, but I know fully this is a prosthetic and that's, like, fake blood, and they're eating, like, either fake meat or, you know, or whatever, sometimes real meat, and, like, it just, you know, that, like, oh, this is shock value and grotesque, and in this it's just so realistic that it really will get under your skin. But the box cutter scene, I'm so sorry, it comes out of it, that's one of the fastest cuts that I forgot about.
It does.
And
you don't really expect it either.
Brutal. Like, I love that character. Like, I love how fucking, like, brutal she is too. Oh,
she's so cool. I wish I was her. Like,
I know, dude.
Amber the character is such a fucking badass. She has some of the best parts.
Yeah, Amber's dope, and that editing around that, like, is really smart. Like, I was watching an interview with Jeremy, and he was talking about like, blocking her, and then they actually, like, the cinematographer shot around her a lot of the time, and the only time that she, like, finally gets, like, introduced into the group is, like, her first close up, and, like, that's, you know,
she does very wallflower for, like, a lot of it, because it's the band, and then it's just like they smooth her into the group
when she lights the lighter, and they get that, like, that's her
and calm down, you know, she lights the cigarette.
Yeah, and that's so sick.
The cherry does anything you don't like. Shoot.
Shoot, yeah. But dude, and she, like, oh my god, it's the like, greatest name in the world. Yeah, I don't even know how to say it. Imogen Poots? Is that what it is?
I don't. That's what I said, but I don't know.
Imogen Poots.
It's Solnay. I don't know, man.
I know, dude. It's Saulnier. Okay, Jeremy Saulnier.
Pretend like I'm saying Sonya, but, like, with a racist accent. Saulnier.
Sure. I said I had to say Saulnier like 50 times before we started this because I was like, that's like not at all. It's like fucking Cillian or Killian. I don't know which one is
Yeah,
which.
I don't know anymore.
I don't know.
But so what? Going back to theaters though, what was your first impressions of this movie though? Like after you watched it, were you like,
Oh, I mean,
blown? Did you
like,
love it? Did you?
I didn't know. Okay, so I don't remember if I knew Patrick Stewart was in this. So, because I have a memory of seeing it in theaters and being like, oh shit, like Patrick Stewart is like the head white supremacist. He is the bad guy in this, and I didn't expect him. And like if I knew he was in this movie, I did not expect him to be the main villain. And it blew my sock off, dude. I'm not like, I don't really know Patrick Stewart all that well. I mean, I knew him as Professor X and as Picard. And so like,
well, I know him like from those, but like he's just like a celebrity personality too. Him and like Ian McKellen, like they
and they're like
super friendly, super
wholesome.
nice,
Like,
wholesome
as
men.
fuck.
Yeah.
So him taking this role on, and you know what? I need to see Patrick Stewart on stage performances more. Like I need,
Yeah, I've heard those are good.
Right, I want to look that up because it's like I kind of forgot that that he does theater, and so that's like a lot of his presence.
Yeah.
And so when he in an interview for this movie, he said it was like one of his favorite. The script blew him away, and he requested to be in this movie.
Oh, really?
He got himself in this movie, and Jeremy Saulnier was like, he didn't think of Patrick Stewart at all.
That's amazing because
and then
his
Patrick Stewart was
name
like, "I love this
definitely
script."
helped sell this movie because he's
course.
definitely the biggest name attached.
Yeah, right. Of course, he was. Yeah,
But
I mean, this movie flopped, or at least not flopped.
Yeah,
just
I
kinda
mean,
this movie-
it's
this movie
in
was
small
already
little
an
indie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was already an indie picture, so it did indie performance.
Yeah,
necessarily.
as expected. It was early before A24 was the juggernaut, fucking best
Exactly.
picture juggernaut it is now.
Exactly.
I mean,
this came out
a couple
like
years
5
later
years
with
later,
Moonlight winning best picture and everything. Like that's when they really
Uh-huh.
kind of stepped it up to the next level.
Right.
It's
But
funny.
anyway, so Patrick Stewart wanted to be in this, and he got there 10 days before production, like before they started.
Really?
They were all ready to shoot, and he got there like 10
Were
days.
the rest of the crew's just like when he's just like through the door? I mean, they actually don't interact with him that much, so they might not have seen him on
Did
set
you
too
know-
much. But
I've got some more. I need to get like glasses or something, put them up when I'm like, did you know that Patrick Stewart actually was on camera and did perform those scenes with the door? They actually acted together while they were doing the scene inside the green room.
Oh, good.
He was doing the exact same scene outside the door, and they were gonna cut between them. And Patrick Stewart was gonna get more screen time. So it's not a. I thought it was like a restriction on Patrick Stewart's time.
yeah,
You know,
his
I
shoot.
thought-
He's so famous
his
he can
shooting
show
schedule.
up. They shoot him in a hallway,
Uh-huh.
and then
Right.
doing some shit outside.
Yeah,
Strap
they
a
only need-
prosthetic on
honestly,
him. Yeah.
for how much he's in the movie, they only needed him for like a week, and so it's like you would think they would just shoot around him and just do his voiceover later.
But he
anyways,
was committed then,
there.
huh?
And exactly.
I love that.
He
I
was a
love that.
character-
That gives me way more like I already respect
Oh.
him plenty, but like it gives me a lot of respect for the
Yeah.
man.
No, tell me about it. And out
This
there in the
indie
world,
thriller,
there is a cut.
you know?
There's like on a fucking hard drive sitting in some backlot. There's like footage of Patrick Stewart doing you could edit together that scene where they're both on screen. But he wanted to give the band more like,
Right, because it does
Go
kind
on,
of give
whatever.
him.
the band's the
He's
character,
not
you know,
like
they're
super
like-
menacing in his presence, like he kind of is with how
Yeah.
he commands a room, and
Right,
like
right.
commands everyone around him, like they just fall in step, like immediately,
Yeah,
do
he
not
can-
question.
He can orchestrate like everybody
his-
so cleanly.
His
It's beautiful.
character's a great written villain just because it's like he is just organized. Like he's just extremely organized, and he loses his temper the one time at the beginning when he shows up.
Yeah, when he
and
pushes the-
then he's just like, all right, let's deal with the fucking consequences, move past it, ba ba bum, and then it happened.
Well, and that's what's so cool. Like it gives like he has such like underlying cynicism or
Yeah.
sinister.
yeah,
you know,
he's got like this
capabilities,
weird,
just
sinister vibe.
Fucking just totally like it's simmering.
It was-
and I'm like, you are waiting for him to be violent, and I love that he never is, and it's so cool. I mean, he's clearly is super violent, but he makes other people do it.
It's
and
funny.
That's what's great about his ending too.
Right? Yeah, exactly. He tries.
good.
It's funny that was like, oh my God, Patrick Stewart. I knew he was in it, but I was like, whatever. But the one that surprised me most, that I was like, oh shit, that's Charlie Bartlett and the chick from Arrested Development are in this band.
Yes, that.
And so I was like, oh damn, you're cool, you know. I'm like, oh, little Charlie Bartlett. And it's funny because he's also in Star Trek.
Right. Yeah.
The remakes, the movies,
which I haven't seen a single one.
They're okay. I mean, they're sadly one of the better things J.J. Abrams has ever done, but
right. Well, man, Anton Yelchin is
not
definitely
saying much, but
he's an up and coming star that I definitely am saddened.
It's a shame his untimely tragic freak accident end, man. Like we were talking a little bit last week that it's like he would have been the Timothy Chalamet. Timothy Chalamet swooped in and took all his roles or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's a little older, but he would have been like. I think nowadays I'm like, there's not that many like really good standout big, quote unquote, A-list younger actors. But he was on his way, man. Like he was kind of in everything. He was in getting bigger roles.
Well, he definitely would have been A24 like
he had
darling.
Dude, he had so much potential. It's such a shame. But
really
and he was so good in this too, because it's like I loved every time I watch this movie. Like I feel like a lot of people kind of are like, yeah, it's solid, it's fair. Like they make dumb decisions, but they're whatever and like that. But it makes sense and. And I'm like, no, they're just regular people dealing against a fucking insurmountable odds. Like, what would you do in this situation? And it's like the band is so, like, they have so much diversity in their characters because it's like Pat's such the shy guy, but he's like got the heart, the punk golden, the studded heart of gold, where he's shy and he's kind of like reserved, but he's also like, hey, let's play fucking Nazi punks fuck off to this fucking Nazi crowd.
And it's like, it's great because you can tell he's his sense of humor and he's kind of brave, but like still like embarrassed, you know, and it's amazing. And then I love like,
well, he's scared, but he does it anyway, and that's what kind of that's his bravery. You know what I mean? It's like he's the one who takes the voice of the room. Because it's not like he's like the big one of reason necessarily, because it's like they're this 20-something punk band. It's like they're all reckless and like, you know what I mean? And so it's like he's like
they're
forced
living out of a van. And
it's definitely one of those in like so many classic movies where it's like the hero is pushed into a position of being the hero. And it's like he's not even like the hero. He's just trying to fucking survive by any means. And it's like the whole like his whole survival amounts to him saying, you know, like they come around to saying that like you can't how are us a fucking goofy fucking like punk band gonna fight against these super organized violent trained Nazis, and the only way they get out of it is by going is like being irrational, being crazy, being unpredictable, like a punk band should be. And so it's good. But
I
don't know. I could gush about this movie because I didn't know it was like, if you know anything about me and Jordan, I feel like if you don't like this movie that much, it probably comes down to like taste. It's like a pretty heavy thriller and it's got like this edge to it. But me and Jordan,
it's kind of uncomfortable too.
It's
just
uncomfortable.
Even outside of the violence. Like,
I
totally get it, and it's uncomfortable because like there's a lot of like humanity in all the characters, you know, in like the weirdest way.
And,
you know,
and their deaths are very unceremonious. You know what I mean?
I know. Oh my god, that's like my favorite part, dude. We've got to like. That's what I like want to get into is how it's like, I don't know. I keep saying grounded and realistic, and like those are the words that come to mind because. It's like you die. You just die. That's how it's so dumb because it's like it's just how it works. Even though it's like movies, you know, all movies can have different character arcs, but it's like when someone dies in this movie, it hurts. I'm like, oh fuck, we just got to know these guys,
and it's
I'm really
shocking because how sudden it is. Like violent death tends to be.
It tends to be, and it's so cool because it's like it just shows you how organized and like intelligent the bad guy is, and my God, I'm sick and tired of stupid bad guys. Like I hate when you have a villain and they have to monologue, or a villain that has to like think, or with a villain, like that's what's great in this movie. They fucking shoot the dude in the head with a shotgun immediately because they have the option. It's not like he doesn't come in and he doesn't talk to him and hold him hostage. The dude just comes around the corner, blasts him, and then he gets hit with a machete and dies. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
And
like
you
nobody,
think I love that too
because
because you think he's like because there's the whole like it's
Oh
not
my
even
God,
it's,
yeah, it's like-
it's not even a B
yeah.
plot necessarily, but there's the whole like defecting Nazi guy.
Well,
And you think he's
find
gonna
out, like,
come
there's a whole-
in?
he's gonna try to take down
Yeah.
Darcy too,
Yeah.
because he's got evidence against him and shit, and like they're gonna try to get out of the gang and shit. And it's like, oh my God, it's
Yeah,
so cool.
and you
That's
think
such a good,
he's
like,
the real
subplot.
protagonist in a regular movie. He's the
Right.
guy that's like, oh, I'm trying to get out with my girl. I'm trying to like it's this tension. Like
And-
he's such a good
and then
character.
He's the one that'll get the revenge. You know,
Yeah,
he's gonna
he
get
comes
like,
in-
sweet justice.
He comes in and he's like, oh, okay, great. A capable adult that's on their side, an insider. And he's like, you forgot one thing. I know where the shop. It's his fucking dome blown off.
Yeah, dude, and it's
So
like,
good.
yeah, and it's sudden, but not for shock value necessarily. Like it's shocking because it happens, but then like that person dies, and then they're like, okay, we have to continue. Like you don't get a minute to breathe, and it's
Well, it's not
great.
very like filmic where it's like, it
Yeah.
it subverts your expectations because it's
No
like
one
you
gets
expect.
like a clean, beautiful death.
Yeah, you
Like,
expect to have like this epic thing or someone dying in a big battle, and it's just like, no, he shows up. You think he's gonna fucking take charge, and Pat and Amber are like, great, a grown up that like knows everything.
yeah.
But
Because you find it. That's what's so great is they end up going back to the green room because that's kind of like the only way they can process. It's like
and it's not even like
they're
safe
oh,
at that point. It's broke.
Yeah.
The doors broke open and everything, so it's just like,
right.
But it's just like, well, that's like our one area where we feel like I guess dogs won't get us. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's all we
Right.
know of this place. So at this point, I know I audibly gasped the first time I saw this, and it still always catches me off guard because it's like the scene prior when everything really ramps up to 11, and you know there's the box cutting on the arm scene, which is super intense, and then them snapping Big Justin's arm and everything. But
right.
when
And
they
choking him out to
escape,
death and everything, yeah.
the most capable character is Reese, right, the drummer, who
Yeah.
knows like fighting, and he's like, let's fucking do it. I'm excited, man. Let's
Right,
do it.
And he's the most confident with the gun and everything. Like his
He-
character is established.
He
and you
finds
think
a
he's gonna
window.
be-
They have a chance, and he finds the window. And he jumps out the window, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And those are his last words, and he gets stabbed to death.
just gets stabbed to death, dude. And it like, oh my God, it's so deflating. You're just
When
like,
that happened, I was
every-
like, "Holy shit!" Like it's
Yeah.
he's I don't know. He's the hero. He's the guy that's supposed to be like. He's the one who like at least takes out another guy, but he basically falls through a window and is like, "Oh fuck!" Just gets stabbed a bunch, and I'm like, and then he's just left bleeding to death, barely alive, to be finished off by a dog, and it's just like so brutal.
God,
But that's kind of why I love this movie, man, because it's like, not only is the cinematography on point, the script is super fucking tight. It checks all my personal tastes of being like punk music and gratuitous violence, like, and like thrillers
being-
argue me
and being,
my
like,
favorite genre, but
it is like cinematically, it's artsy and it's poetic. Like there, like you could just have
It looks
a
good.
solid. You could have just a solid punk soundtrack behind this whole movie, and I still feel like it would hold up, and it would be great, and it might have a different. It might have actually gained more popularity, honestly, but I love that it like all the punk is like, and then it's just done. That's it, and then you cut to like slow. You cut to like those like beautiful. Slow
it's
shots of
inherent
this music.
in the editing and in the cinematography, because it is like, when one of the first scenes when they're playing the music at Taz is just like they put on that Fear record, and it's just like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, and then it just cuts to the end of the record like immediately. And it's just kind of got that flavor baked into it, into the artsy A24 like.
It's a little alienating though too, because it's like fans like us who like the music and like get the like the mythos of it is like when that happens, it's almost kind of disappointing, but yeah, like it's just so cool.
I know, like when they're playing at that Mexican restaurant, I'm just like, like
yeah. But I love it too because it's so realistic to these people, and to like anybody who like we personally, we've never like toured, in a band,
No.
but we
I want to talk to
enjoy that.
Landing
Like,
some more, because he's toured. My brother-in-law is in this punk band called American Humor. Go check him out.
Yeah, they're great. They're on Spotify
They
everywhere.
they have toured in a van to other states.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not as like it's not Green Room necessarily, but
Right.
but I want to talk to him more
sleazy.
about it and be like, so like, can you relate to these like weird, like being in some weird, sketchy, fucking last
and kind of,
minute
like,
type
just taking the
venues?
gig. Yeah, exactly. Just taking the gig
like-
you can, and it's a great setup. It's like all you need is like they're offered like a sum of money,
And they're so
and-
poor, like they're just like, I guess
Right.
we're just siphoning gas, and so it's just like,
Yeah.
this is us trying to stay true to our roots. And they make a big point about being, or at least some of them, at least Tiger does, about being like, this guy's pure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
he's pure, and it's like his Desert Island Band, even when they fully confess to not being cool, everyone's like, it's Prince and it's Simon and Garfunkel or whatever she says. But he's
Yeah,
like,
she
no, it's
says
still
Garfunkel.
Misfits, and he's like, yeah, he has the pure heart. The pure
Yeah.
heart, the pure punk heart. You know?
Yeah, I love it. It's
so
still it's like fuck yeah, dude. I know that's that's such a that's so good.
So what's your Desert Island Band?
I know, right? I mean, of course,
Obviously.
that question come up. So Victoria and I were like, we were discussing it, and it's like, I really can't like pick one. It's like so hard because it's like when like the true chips are down, when I'm confronted in my green room, I still feel like I'm gonna say Joy Division,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. There's so many bands out there.
Yeah,
But then
Joy
you think about
Division,
it,
I
it's like,
see that for you, maybe. Yeah.
Totally, yeah, but I'm also like, well, they only have like an album and a half, basically.
That's
It's
the
like,
thing.
like they got like,
Right.
2 albums essentially, and so not very much, not a deep pool, but it's like that's music I listen to often and could listen to a lot. But then right now it's like I've got fucking, couple bands that like I really just have to listen to all the time, and it's like Godspeed would be big, but I don't know, dude. It's so hard. What
true.
would be yours? Do you even know? No one truly
I bet.
knows.
Well, I bet you know.
We're
See,
not
that's the thing.
Gun Pet.
They're not my favorite band necessarily anymore, but they're up there. But they also have a very extensive discography. Is NoFX, so
Right.
it's like for
Okay,
me,
that's-
like
that's
I
funny.
have
That's
no.
what's funny, yeah.
I was obsessed with NoFX in junior high and a little bit in high school, and so
Just a little bit.
I'm not as obsessed, obviously, anymore. Even though I am seeing them next weekend, I'm excited. But
I know, that'd be fun. I'll see you there.
I know that'll be good. But I know I haven't seen your face in a while in person. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's I always still wonder what Pat's is like. It's still like it shouldn't matter, but I'm like,
Well, do you know?
that's what it's
do you
like.
know
There's
what
just
the-
enough fan service of like musical. If you like music, there because it's like they're throwing out names like Poison Idea, and then it's like you got like Fear, and they do a Dead Kennedy song, and so it's just like it's fun if you're like that genre already. So that's just like an extra element.
Well, you know
why I
what?
like this movie more.
Jeremy Saunier said there is an answer to his
Oh, really?
band.
See, I'm
And-
glad they don't say it in the movie, though. You know what I
Me
mean?
too. Well, I'm so happy
'Cause
I
it
kinda forgot
ends
that they
perfect.
didn't, and
Yeah.
so the ending is so fucking good.
Well, it works for his
So-
character because, like, he is kind of indecisive. He's not he is, I guess, the protagonist, but he is kind of like having to be like he's very reactionary. He's having to make these decisions. And earlier on, he can't say what his Desert Island Band is. He gets cut off during his big speech. And then when he gets a chance, everyone says their Desert Island Band again. And fucking even Amber's like, what does she say? She's like,
Is it Slayer or something? She
yeah,
said
she's
something
like Backstreet Boys and Slayer or something like.
or
It's not
something.
Backstreet Boys, but it's something like that.
Backstreet Boys. What the hell was it? Yeah. Anyways, yeah, she, like some other
It's
band
like
of the
Pink
Slayer,
or something, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
even then he doesn't get a chance because he can't decide, and so it's like it's great at the end when he's like, I finally know what my Desert Island Band is, and she's just like, tell it to someone who gives a shit, because it's like that's so small potatoes now, but it's good for him because it's like he's finally like he's like made these choices now, like he's the one that's like, well, let's go to the compound instead of running away the cops, like I have to go.
Right. And
Even if he's still like, I don't
my
know what we were
only-
gonna do when we get there, but
right. Honestly, yeah, I think it's kind of that, like, it's the desperate curiosity, and it's the fact that
His friends,
he doesn't
you know,
know,
it's
but exactly his friends. He doesn't know what's going there, but he knows that he's drawn there because that's the most logical place for his friends to
well,
be.
he's got the heart of a hero too. He's pure. He's a pure boy.
I know. They all, yeah.
But he's like, if there's a
chance.
chance, I have to like see. But even then, he doesn't know because like Amber shoots the guy, and he's like, "So we're doing that then?" And he's like, "Well, why else did we come?"
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite parts too. And he's like, "I thought we'd just mess up their crime scene," and she's like, "I thought we'd make a new one."
Yeah, that's so sick, dude. But that takes me to Patrick Stewart, his character being one of the like strongest villains ever written.
Yeah.
Is that when the chips are down and he's alone, he runs away.
Yeah.
And it's like he's a coward. It almost humanizes him in a way, and like it just shows that like he isn't, and that line, dude, gives me chills when fucking Anton Yelchin is like, "You were so scary in the dark."
Yeah, it's like, "You were so scary at night," and like
at night. Yeah, you were so scary at night, dude. It's so sick.
It's great. And because he doesn't really say, his only lines are like, Pat's like, "This is a nightmare." And he's like, "For all of us." But then, yeah, it's like as soon as he's the last one, he just turns, walks away, hoping that they're incompetent and can't get a shot on him, which they almost don't.
I know, yeah.
And then he shoots off his big dick gun that's just like doesn't do, which is the gun from earlier too. But it goes right between them, so out of pure luck too, they just like kind of survive. Yeah. which is great because it's like that's what feels real. It's like, well, it feels, at least to what he was saying about going full jackass and being unpredictable, is just that it's just like that's kind of the whole driving force and the motif, that it's just like these two opposite forces, because it's like, which feels very realistic because it's like you can plan and plan and plan and plan, but sometimes chaos, like they're just like neutral, chaotic, good or whatever, and so it's just like it just kind of disrupts everything, and they end up kind of surviving kind of by pure chance, but it's like their own actions of just making snap decisions for better or worse.
And it's pure. It's like pure humanity too. Like the one. I love it. Like just the new recruit, fucking skinhead that just he's getting his red laces and like he got his promotion, but he's still like doing grunt work and shit, and he's just like, I don't want to go to jail. Like, I just don't, he totally is like, he's like, I don't want like this violence. I don't want to do any more
I think
of this.
It's just funny. This is the first time I watched this with subtitles, which is surprising. I've seen this probably like 5 or 6 times. And this is the first time I watched this with subtitles, surprisingly. I always thought he said, I want to go to jail. He's just he's like, don't kill me. I want to go to jail. Like, let's just fucking end this. I mean, it works either way, but it always kind of, I really like his character too, because he's just kind of like the guy who sort of instigates it, trying to have initiative.
His name's something like Macon Blair.
Yeah, Macon Blair. I really love him because he's the main character of Blue Ruin.
I've never seen Blue Ruin.
Oh, you should.
He's in Murder Party, which is probably, well, that was my first movie. Remember, I told you about Murder Party.
We watched Murder Party back in the day, which is highly recommend.
I recommended it, and it's amazing.
It is. Yeah. It's nothing like this,
but it kind of is. It's really tight.
The
characters are really awkward, and then it's like the characters are like written really.
You know
well.
what? We should watch let's watch Murder Party for Horror-tober.
Yeah, Horror-tober for sure, dude. Yeah, because Murder Party is one of my favorite movies.
I like Murder
Party.
Just
period. Like it's just such a sick film, and I highly recommend it to anybody.
I've only seen it once, so I want to watch it again.
Oh, dude, I've seen it quite a few times, and it's like, it's sick. It's funny. Like, I love the script, and you can really see like.
You got to see Blue. You got to see Blue Ruin then, because that's like I was first taken. I didn't like fall head over heels with Blue Ruin, but I was like, oh, this is someone to keep an eye on, because it had that like. There's this knife fight scene early on that's just like messy. It's not like Hollywood clean cut. It feels like accidental and like more violent than you would think. Like the characters are even like, oh fuck, like there's way more blood than I was expecting. And that's what's kind of, I was taken by that, and that obviously is done tenfold in Green Room. It's just unfortunate that, and I hope Jeremy Saulnier doesn't become one of those filmmakers we keep talking about that like you think he's going to be the next big thing. He's huge, and then he's kind of disappeared because his last movie, Hold the Dark, was not very. It was. I mean, it was okay, but it was pretty weak compared to his other movies. but it did not do well critically. And he
I
hasn't
love
made.
Jeffrey Wright though, so I
Me
need to see
too.
that.
Yeah, and he's awesome in it, but he has not done anything since. Well, he doesn't done a film since. He was like he was a huge part of True Detective season 3, which I thought was great. But I'm like, I want him to do another movie, and I don't know if there's anything on his radar. So fingers crossed, because I don't want him to be like one of those directors that's just like, yeah, and they make him do the next fucking a Marvel movie or something. They won't.
No, yes, yeah.
He doesn't even have enough cred for that, unfortunately, except for
That's true.
cool A24 cinephile nerds.
Well, no, that if he gets more A24 money behind him, and he can do like a,
I
maybe
think he
$20
would.
million
I mean, like, Green Room is constantly brought up on the horror subreddit. It comes up all the time when people are like, I need like a realistic, like thrilling, like blah, blah, blah. Like it comes up on there all the time because it rules. And it's great that it crosses those boundaries because it's like, I would have never really considered a horror movie, but it is horrific. And it has it's a horror movie like Terminator's like a slasher movie, but like this movie is more or so, obviously. It's not like it's not like a leap necessarily. But yeah. Anyway.
Well, do you want to?
I got a couple Reddits.
Yeah, if you want to read some Reddits, and then I can give you.
You got a money minute? Because I am curious about it. I know it's probably not much, but I'm curious. But anyway, let's see what Reddits we got. So, another opponent says this movie is a perfect example of people making dumb decisions under stress without it feeling like it was a bunch of contrivances to move the plot forward. It's also very rare to see a punk group be the main character and not having them be low-level thugs or bad guys from 80s movies.
I love it, dude. When I read that comment earlier, and like, I mean, it's great. Nailed it right on the fucking head. And I'm also like, what? I can't think of I can think of a couple punk movies that have, positive punk characters. But it is true. It's like there aren't that.
They're always like side characters, or I always think about like, for some reason, I always think about that 80s show, which is awful, but there's the punk girl who's like,
have a punk kid in that? That's
yeah,
funny.
she's the punk girl, and she's got Liberty Spikes, and they're like, oh, you're just angsty, and she's like, you're right, and then her character arc is she becomes a regular girl at the end, and it's awful.
Lame.
I know she's like puts her hair down for once, and it's in Liberty Spikes the whole time, and dresses like in a fucking Little House on the Prairie dress or something, and I always think about that, like that's punk representation.
And that
in
kind
movies.
of, though, I always think of that that old ad from the 80s where it's got like the punk kid at the dinner table, and they're like, are you talking to your son about punk or something like that? Whatever.
I forget what it says, but it's just like
Ronald Reagan bullshit.
It's literally definitely like, I just wanted a Pepsi.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
just one
totally,
Pepsi.
just like, yeah, like,
and she wouldn't give it to me. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for commenting for once. Another opponent, I like that. It's very good. He won't listen to this. So.
No, I know, but we love him.
We'll see. So Clones for People 2 says, first watch of this, it was not on my radar, and to be honest, I probably would have not have watched it. I enjoyed this. It was very tense and kept me interested throughout. It felt like it was a very well-made indie. Patrick Stewart was a nice surprise, but I wish he had a more involved part. Too much of him just acting through a door, like you mentioned earlier, though.
And I know what you mean, dude. I agree. Where it's like I want his performance because I liked him on screen, but I think that
he's not the focus. I think it was good to not, because it's tight. Like you could have had more of him, but it left me wanting more in a good way, to where I'm like,
exactly. It's like it was kind of like it was almost frustrating because I was having like I felt disconnected. I was frustrated like with the band in the room. I was like, stop like talking to me through the door, and it's like they're in such a weird hostage situation, and I love that line when he's like, can you give me a registered firearm? Like it's just
I know
it's great how it's great how Pat's got like he's got brevity, and he's trying to be like kind of light, but in this situation where like everyone knows they're like fucked, like you, no matter what, even if you don't think you're gonna get straight up just murdered, because that doesn't really always hit somebody's mind. But like the fact that you're like, this is a shitty situation.
This is like what rationally can I do? Because it's like these are insurmountable odds. I can't physically go up against this. What do you do? Like, you know what I mean? And so
and all the leverage they have is like it's minuscule, but like they're safe in the room. It's great, and I do agree though. I wish we had more Patrick Stewart because
I don't think it's a detriment, but I think it would. I mean, like, I would totally take it because I like it. You know what I mean? But anyway, he goes on to say, I like that the gore was not gratuitous, but just shocking enough that it worked for a story rather than for a more gruesome death scene. Overall, this was a very good genre piece and a cut above the others like this I've seen. A solid 7 out of 10. Thank you. I'm glad you watched it, even though it's not your wheelhouse. So, because I think that's the thing. It's like another opponent said that, like, stupid decisions and, like, everyone can agree it's well made, and so there's just, like, all these other, like, things. And I think at the end of the day, it's like I like this movie so much because of personal taste, and I think it's extremely well made. So that's just, like, amplified more, but it's just, like, it checks so many of my personal boxes. So,
and I feel like I'm like, oh, we used to do a lot more of the if you like this, watch this. But I'm like, if you like, I think it's kind of the inverse. If you like 7, you should really watch this.
This does feel like that, he does feel like Jeremy Saulnier feels like he really loves David Fincher because it's got like that like very stylized look, like very precise camera work.
But it's indie Fincher, which is nice. I kind of appreciate that. Fincher is amazing, but his shit is like, you know how clean it is.
Well, and Fincher's pretty punk rock too. Let's be honest. And like the way he does it, but he's Hollywood punk rock. Where Saulnier is like he's the back room fucking
messy. Like his movies will probably never be over 20 million. Like I guarantee you, because this film was 5 million to shoot, and
that's nothing.
Now Blue Ruin was probably half that, or maybe 5 million as well. And then I guarantee you, Hold the Dark was under 20.
Hold the Dark was a bit. But it was probably like 10 or 15, probably. Like,
that's the thing, exactly. It's a Netflix movie, so it's really hard to get the actual budget because Netflix is a little B word. But it's also not like that big of a movie when it comes to like it's a fucking wilderness movie. So it's like not like you need a lot.
I should watch it again. We should watch Hold the Dark because it's like I'd like to give it another shot because it was underwhelming coming from Green Room, but I still thought it had a lot of good stuff in it. It was just kind of messy, and I honestly think it's because he adapted it from a book instead of it being an original screenplay. But I think that was his problem. So let's see. Anyway, I got one more. One more Reddit I want to read.
Yeah, go for it.
Turbo13 says, very surprised. I didn't even look to see what this movie was about. I thought it was going to be a grungy documentary about a punk band like usual. Long story short, it wasn't. Haha. Badass movie, everything about it. The first scenes were shot so artistically. The pacing was perfect. The violence was very well crafted and original and not over the top. I haven't seen a thriller horror like this since maybe The Strangers. Best thriller ever. I thought Amber, thriller, not horror. I don't know. See, that's the thing.
I know. I agree.
It's like Strangers is horror. It is, but it's grounded in a way. Anyway,
right.
That's right. We could get into the thriller horror debate because
it's a debacle more than a debate, man. I don't even.
It's because people are scared of horror, but it's a debacle. Absolutely.
I don't want to call it a horror because it won't get nominated for shit. So
that's the whole thing. It's like, does it have a stigma against it? I guess it's horror. Is it prestigious? Then it's thriller. That's elevated horror. It's thriller. Anyway, I thought Amber was gonna turn on the band even until the very end, which had me more on my toes. Glad she didn't though, because her and Pat are definitely gonna scrump. Haha. Solid 4.7 out of 10. Thanks. Nice.
Did you see my comment afterwards?
No, I didn't read it. I saw it on there.
I commented back and I was like, man, my headcanon is that they do connect on this, and then they end up an old married couple that like has to think back on that time where they're like, hey, remember that trauma we experienced together where we had to kill a bunch of white supremacists? Kill all those
remember when you gutted that guy?
yeah, right.
That was
like
cute.
Old, like that's what I love. Yeah, they're like old, just like tatted old punks with like maybe like he's got like faded blonde hair and like she just has like her natural hair grown out and like they're just chilling. They're old punks. They're old heads, and she's like, yeah, remember that time we murdered those guys and got away with it?
I know, right? It's something about I don't know. Like I really love like their chemistry is really good because it's like he's the only like no one trusts her. He's the only one that sees her as like a human being. He's literally like, hey, I'm really sorry about your friend, when he himself is all fucked up. And and she's the only one that's like, finish giving me your pep talk. And he does. And that's kind of what saves them. Because it's like, that's the punk ideology too, is just like they're just like youth. You know what I mean? They're being unpredictable, crazy. They shave his head and fucking draw a Sharpie all over their face, and he's like, it's funny because it's so dumb, but it's also so epic when they're like, "Who's down there?" And he's like, "It's Odin himself," and he like jumps down the hole, and it's super epic. But you're like, "What?"
On that, and the counting sequence is dope. Like that's really good editing, and that's just good filmmaking, man. When they count the shotgun shells, it's like fucking great, dude.
Yeah, it's really,
and it's so realistic really when he's trying to load the shotgun, and he doesn't get the shot off. It's like, it's so good. It's
well, and she shoots at the other guy, and Pat would have came out, but like since the bullets are flying,
it's so realistic. Yeah.
Well, because it's messy. Like, they're not coordinated. You know what I mean? It's messy, and that's what feels raw, which I think that would be the word to describe this movie. Like, 'cause that's the thing. It's like it's raw, but it's calculated because the script is so tight, the cinematography is so tight, the editing is so tight. But what it's trying to convey is raw as fuck. Like with the punk band, with their like only analog style, being live, being in the moment, their motivations and how shit happens.
Horror can get away with more mistakes, and that's why I wouldn't call this like true horror. But it's still. I mean, I still feel like it's funny. It's like I love horror. That's been established by you and myself here on this podcast. And I love gore, but this, like, it sits with me, dude. That's all I can't get over the fact that
you see his arm slashed up. You see it for all of, like, maybe a second.
Maybe 30, or not even 30. Like, when he's getting it wrapped up, you see it longer, but not even. It's like, you're barely seeing his arm, but when he brings it back and it's just hanging.
The wrist, dude. It's like the bone. You see the bone hanging out of the wrist, and you're just like,
they were on like rotten.com, dude. I just feel like it just feels like those like real photos, like people getting hit by trains and shit. I'm like, brutal, dude.
While I pull up, I'm going to pull up Travis's voicemail, but while I do that, what was your favorite part?
Oh, God, that's hard. Let me wrap up Money Minute real quick just to say.
Oh, yeah. How much did it make? You said $5 million.
It made 3.7 million back.
That's too bad. It's kind of a cult classic, though. That's the. I feel like a lot of people talk about it online, and I have a green room shirt, and a pin. I love green room.
it being in the A24 catalog really helps because A24 is its own like criterion. It has its own built-in like cult following.
They do. They have their own fan base, and they keep crushing it. And so,
and that's why I'm really happy. Like everything I've seen by them, I've thoroughly enjoyed. So I'm excited to, continue the. I'm on the A24 bandwagon. I don't know if we were there before it really got popular, but I feel like we were. I feel like we were there.
We were there.
I think we were there when The Witch came out.
I'm wearing a Witch shirt.
I know, buddy. I see it. Right? Represent, dude. It's that's kind of when A24 to me really got on my radar, and so.
God, now I'm gonna have to look up there to figure out what the first A24 movie that really stood out to me.
I know The Witch is the one that I can think of right now because I remember seeing The Witch.
One. Spring Breakers.
And Spring Breakers was up there, but The Witch, I thought it's because the first time I saw Witch, I was underwhelmed, and then I saw it again, and it was one of those. It was like one of those where I'm like, I fully watched it. I think
go listen to our Horrortober episodes because we talk about The Witch a little bit.
Talk about The Witch, yeah.
That was my first impression too. I was like, I liked that, but also like. What?
I thought.
But every time I watch it since, I'm like, yeah, bud.
Yeah, the second time I watched it, I actually fully in full disclosure, I didn't quite see the ending, so I didn't quite.
That's the best part.
Get the impact of it. So it totally was I can't remember if I was distracted or just wasn't paying attention, and then I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. But then the second time I actually watched it, I wasn't a dumb idiot, and I watched it.
Sorry, you did this to me. Now I gotta go back. Because under the skin was also
Under the Skin,
which I feel like is underrated.
Think, when I got into
Room,
anyway.
Yeah, because Room, The Witch, and Green Room all came out in 2015. Dude, Ex Machina was right before that.
Yeah,
and that was a big one. Dude, The Rover, forget about it. Under the Skin, that's probably the first big one for me.
The Witch is probably mine that I remember being A24.
Their first big hit was Spring Breakers, and then literally a few after that was Under the Skin.
Which is funny because I liked Spring Breakers and I saw it.
Tusk is an A24 movie.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that's not like Miramax because of how
I know
Kevin Smith.
You'd think Kevin.
Okay, sorry, I'm going back to that. We went on a little tangent though. So here's
a little.
Here's
A24 rabbit hole there.
here's Travis's voicemail. See what he got.
Hey guys, before I begin, I want to say I've wanted to watch this since it came out, but never got around to seeing it. That's becoming a common occurrence with the podcast, the chance to see movies that otherwise would slip by. A quick funny story. Back in the beginning of 2021, I was talking with Jordan about what movie you guys were going to do next. He told me The Green Knight. I was super stoked because I thought that was Green Room. And now 2.5 years later, it finally happened. I enjoyed both movies, by the way. For me, Green Room has two parts. The amazing build-up to them getting in the room and their brainstorming of possible solutions. Then the part when they forfeit their gun to the end of the movie felt much different to me. It seemed like a collection of implausible events, one after the other, mixed with some brutal dog attacks. I mean, the first part was so tense and nerve-wracking that I felt let down by how things ended up playing out. Even the surviving girl was one of the bad guys up until her friend was killed, and the guy who ended up calling the police was no good either. It seemed that the only meanness in the movie came from the dogs and the guy who killed the girl. Everyone else seemed level-headed. I don't know what my favorite part was, but I really liked the scene in the Mexican restaurant. That song was pretty cool, too. I got two questions for you guys. First, how different would this movie be if they cast an elderly American actor like Ed Harris, Tommy Lee Jones, or anyone for that matter? And my second question is, what would your desert island band be? Thanks.
Nice.
Thanks, Travis.
I know, right? The Desert Island Band is totally like the question that comes into play. I love it.
That's what makes them so scary, though, Travis, is their level-headedness, man. I get what you're saying, though. There is definitely a shift after they turn in the gun and everything goes super south with the first real shocking violence.
Well, and Sonia, he actually wanted, like this interview I listened to, he wanted to kind of like avoid leaning into like the political of the characters and just kind of essentially humanizing and grounding just everybody, like, you know, and just making them they're trying to protect an asset less than like be their fucking just
they're not quote unquote like I'm a villain. Like they keep talking about like, oh, we got to get back on a routine. We got workshops. I even said to Mary, my wife, while watching this, I said, man, this would be a great place to live if I was a piece of shit Nazi. You know what I mean? Because honestly, well, that's the whole thing. Yeah.
And that's what he he did such a good job at, like, kind of, that's why I feel like, maybe I can't speak for you, Travis, but for me personally, and what I'm hearing from you is you're kind of like, I don't want to sympathize with these white supremacists. I don't want to sympathize with them.
But they're definitely humanized.
Yeah, right.
Especially even Macon Blair, he is arguably the one to blame because he's the one who got the gun in the first place and like set things off, trapped them in there. But he's the one at the end that's just like, this is out of hand, man. I can't. Yeah. Like,
right. He's like,
which feels like a real response and like is just a stroke of luck for the others. You know what I mean? Even though they would have just blown him away probably at that point because they finally got the upper hand. But
I was gonna say, that's the only part for me personally. I think it's like, Travis, you're just kind of upset because, or you know, I can see you being upset because it just kind of becomes a movie, you know? Like it definitely
is like
so
more thriller, like shit happens, they go out, they get murdered. Once the stakes get to that point,
is that they let him live. I agree, but I think it's like it makes sense because he was the most cooperative and he wasn't as violent. He clearly is involved and instigates a lot of violence, but he totally he's kind of just, you know, a middle management, just kind of making things work. You know, he was trying to be like calm, and then he calling his.
What other actor, like he said, what other actor, like an American actor?
I don't know. I mean, like it's funny because like Clint Eastwood or like even I could see.
But then they just show up at Clint Eastwood's house and then be like, this is just how he is.
He's got workshops going, but I don't know, man. It's hard. I really can't picture anyone else but Patrick Stewart because he. To me, it's weird. It's like on this viewing, I was like so smitten. I was just so like blown away.
I would like a
good he is.
Willem Dafoe or something just because I love him and he's older. But
I love him, but I don't know. I feel
it wouldn't be the same. It would be too distracting, honestly, because it's like
almost He would he would bring too much of like
if I
kind of a
was,
creepiness.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
would exactly. Like it's like
And-
that's what the thing about the Darcy character is like. I can
Supposed to be
feel
the
that
same
he's
human.
a father figure to
Yeah,
these
right,
men. Like
right,
they look
totally.
up to him. You know what I mean? As opposed to like, oh, he's just like a scary Nazi boss. Like they're like, oh no, he is scary and you should do what he says. But there's like
It
this
gives
level of
me-
respect for him that makes him all the more intimidating.
I mean, who he is he's like Breaking Bad. He's basically just like Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, that's who it could have been.
That's
It's Bryan
right.
Cranston. Yeah.
Right. Bryan Cranston's kind of what comes to mind is where you need that unsuspecting character. That you like having somebody who
You would
is
see him at the grocery
rough
store
looks old.
and just be
Yeah,
like, he would be very respectful and polite.
right.
And you would never be like,
know.
this guy is the fucking leader
guy-
of this neo-Nazi organization.
He grows heroin in his basement and,
Yeah.
and corrupts the youth.
He's got a
Like, you wouldn't
fucking
expect
whole
that.
thing. Well, like all the characters, even Clark, the bookkeeper who raises the dogs. Like,
I know.
I'm
I
like,
love him.
what kind of guy
Yeah.
is just like, they're literally like, he's like, I need $900 or however much. He's like, you just checked out $350. He's like, yeah, well, someone's dead. And he's like, well, someone has to keep the fucking books still, Like,
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love how
just-
how organized they are.
That's-
and then like I love how he truly is like the dogs are his livelihood, and he like runs. It's like how I love it how despicable these people are, but yet like it's all like relatable problems. And so
Again, it comes back to
Yeah.
realistic.
Right,
I have to
right,
mention before I forget, if you liked this, watch this. Please do yourself a favor. Go watch I Don't Feel at Home at This World Anymore, the Netflix movie with Elijah Wood. That was directed by Macon Blair, the one Nazi who gives up.
He did. Oh, that's
And-
they're friends. Jeremy Saunier and
Yeah.
that Macon Blair are best friends. They've been friends forever.
That movie feels. I've watched it twice now. First time I watched it, I really liked it, and I rewatched it. That's the Jeremy Saunier movie we never got. I think Macon Blair does almost just. It's like more comedic, but it's also got the quick gratuitous violence. Like he uses it just as effectively. Please watch that movie. I feel like it's super underrated. Check it out. But if you enjoyed this at all, watch that one for sure. So, and then you heard our Desert Island Band. So there it is. Anyway, we could sit and gush about Green Room because it's like,
yeah.
but this is another one of those movies that it's like, if you're not the biggest fan, I get it. You know what I mean? This is not like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit or There Will Be Blood or something where it's like this movie's a masterpiece, and if you don't think so, then you're wrong. Fuck you. Like this movie, I think is kind of perfect and checks a lot of boxes. Like I have like no any problem I have with it is totally negligible. So it's like, but that's a lot of it does come down to what I like. It's tight. It's clean. It's well made. It's well shot. Well acted. Fucking prosthetics are great. The theme and the soundtrack and like it's all fucking. It's funny when it wants to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude.
So-
Oh, hey, look at this.
got
So we're talking about Macon Blair, and that mother flipper is going to be an Oppenheimer, which will be one of our bonus episodes.
Yeah, check that out. We're
do
gonna
for
do
the
that in
Patreon.
a week or two. If you want,
So-
join the Patreon. I feel like he was doing. You have it open though. What's his next movie? Because I remember it's like a franchise. It's like fucking Swamp Thing or something.
The Toxic Avenger.
Toxic
Oh, shit,
Avenger.
he's gonna
That's
be in
right.
the Toxic Avenger?
No, he's
Oh, that's
directing.
cool.
He's directing the Toxic Avenger.
Oh, he's gonna direct it. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it
Oh.
was. Yeah, he's doing the Toxic
Oh,
Avenger
that,
remake.
dude. Oh hell yeah. Okay. I'm on, dude. I'm so on board, baby. That,
Yeah.
I already liked him, and now it's like
Yeah, I'm into it. So I'm looking forward to that. So
Okay.
anyway,
cool.
anything else to say? I mean, I don't know. Like, I think
love
that's
it.
the gist of it. Thank you to everyone who commented. Thanks to everyone on the Reddit. Thank you, Travis. Thanks to all of our lovely Patreons. Again, you guys can go listen to. I just put up the bonus episode on Asteroid City. So if you're a Patreon, go check that out. And then we're gonna do Oppenheimer in a week or two. Once I gotta watch it late. I'm mad.
Once it hit theaters, baby.
I'm gonna be seeing you like right when it comes out, but I'm like on vacation. I can't ditch my wife to
We'll
go
see
see
it.
Oppenheimer.
We'll record on the first.
I asked
so
her. I was
people
like,
can-
"Hey, while we're in Washington, do you want to? Now that we're flying, do you want to go see Oppenheimer? That we got extra time?" And she's like, "I'll kill you." I'll kill
yeah,
you.
on my vacation, you don't get no
She's like,
movies.
"We're not gonna go watch a movie while we're literally." All right. Anyway, so thanks. That's all. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Check our
I
stuff.
love
Comment
it.
on stuff.
You guys
Oh, yeah,
did?
next week. It hasn't officially
Oh.
won yet. But the next, 24-hour movie we're going to do hasn't officially won, but it may as well have, is going to be Reservoir Dogs. So that's obviously another fucking classic. So buckle up. Go watch Reservoir Dogs. And report back next week. Go onto the Reddit. Tell us what you think. Give us your thoughts and opinions. I'm going to make a post about it, obviously. And then, yeah. Reservoir Dogs. I know you, listener out there in the world, it's been a while since you've seen Reservoir Dogs. You probably barely remember it. Go watch it. And then come comment.
Yeah, go sit in a chair and get covered in gasoline.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. That's how I plan to watch it. Get fully immersed.
Yeah,
Only going to have one ear next time we record.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.